Okay, we're going to start today. We're going to talk about thousandths place and how to move a number 10 times a number or 1/10 of a number. But the first way that we're going to look at this is we're going to look at the place value chart. So remembering that I have my decimal, which is spoken as and then I have ones, tens, hundreds, thousands, 10,000s, 100,000s, millions. Keep going, 10 million, 100 million, billion, and so on. It goes on forever that direction. Well, the thing that we're really good at this. Remember we did last year, we did it out on the concrete with the chalk. Y'all, we're really good at this part. What you need to know is on the other side of the decimal. So when we go this way, the numbers get bigger, don't they? Right? We understand that $10 is bigger than $1. $100 is bigger than $10. $1,000 is bigger than 100. So every time you go over 1, you are going 10 times the last one you left. So 1, if I move over here, 10 is 10 times 1. 10 times 1 is 10. If I go from $10 to $100, well, 100 is 10 times 10. 10 times 10 is 100. Same thing, if I go from 100 to 1,000, I jumped up by multiplying by 10. 10 times 100 is 1,000. So as you go this way, you're multiplying by 10. Okay? So if I jump 2, I multiply by 100, right? Okay. All right. Going this direction, I have tenths, hundredths, thousandths, and it keeps going the exact way this goes. 10,000ths, 100,000ths, millionths, 10 millionths, and so on and so on and so on. It is the same words, but with the THS on it. Okay? The only one you skip is the ones place. It's the decimal, then tenths, hundredths, thousandths, and so on. So the same theory, when I go this way, I'm getting smaller. Okay? I'm getting smaller. So we know that tenths is like dimes. Hundredths is pennies, right? So it takes 10 pennies to make 1 dime. Okay? But it takes 100ths, those are our pennies, right? So if I have 9 pennies right here and I give you one more, now you have a tenth, you have 1 dime. And if I give you 10 dimes, you now have $1. And if I give you $10, you now have 10. If I give you 10 ones, you now have $10 and so on. But if we're going this way, think of dimes here. Then we have pennies in our money system, okay? And then thousands, that's even smaller. The more you go this direction, the smaller you get. So we understand that when I multiply, a number gets bigger. But what I also need you to realize is when we divide, a number gets smaller, right? Well, I can also multiply by a fraction to make a number smaller. Because if you multiply a number less than a whole, it's going to get smaller. So what I want you to remember is if you're multiplying by a fraction, the number's getting smaller. If I multiply by just a 10 or 100 or 1,000, the number's going to get bigger. So if it's going this way, it's getting bigger. And if it goes this way, it's getting smaller. Okay? So with that said, the first thing I want to look at is just some place value on this side of the decimal. So I'm going to pause the video, give you another view of a board that I put up, and then we're just going to really just identify the place value to the right of the decimal. Okay, so if we see this, I put up some ghosts, getting close to Halloween. So here's what I want you to recognize is that right here on the other side of that tenths, that would be my decimal, and I would read that as and. Okay, so, you can't see that. So there's my decimal. Over here, if I was to keep going, that would be on the other side, this would be my ones, tens, hundreds, so forth. These are my smaller number, tenths, hundredths, thousandths, 10,000s, 100,000ths, millionths. You only have to know to the thousandths in 5th grade. But in 6th grade, you have to know all the way across to keep going. So I'm going to go ahead and challenge you today to understand all of those numbers to the right of the decimal, okay? So I'm going to challenge you here. So I have tenths, hundredths, thousandths, 10,000ths, 100,000ths, and then million. Okay, so what's going to happen is I'm going to show you a ghost, and you are going to keep this in mind where that number goes. So for example, I'm going to show you a number. Maybe I show you 0.2378, and I ask you, and I underline a number, and I ask you what place value did I underline? Well, that's tenths, hundredths, thousandths. I underline the thousandths place. Okay, so easy, and I'm going to show you the paper that you're going to do this on with me. But that's all you're doing is you're going to identify the underlined number. All right, so I'm going to flip what you're viewing because I'm going to show you the paper that you're going to write on. It'll be on your desk, and then we'll go from there. Okay, so this is the paper that you have on your desk. I want you to put your name on it. So mine's going to say Miss Webster. And I'm going to do the first few with you, and then I'm going to let you keep going, okay? Today's date will be 10/25/17. All right, so I'm going to show you, I'm going to do the first couple with you, and then you're going to keep going by yourself. So I show you a ghost, 2.78. I want you to identify for me what place value is underlined. If you need to rewind and write down the place values, but they're right here. Okay, so this is like my decimal on the edge of the sheet. This is my decimal. Over here on the left would be the ones, tens. These are my smaller numbers, tenths, hundredths, thousandths, 10,000ths, 100,000ths, millions, and so on. So looking at my ghost, can you tell me what place value is underlined? Well, I have ones. My decimal is and. Then 7 is in the tenths, and 8 is in the hundredths. So it's 2 and 78 hundredths. So I underline the hundredths. I want you to come here and write for me the number that you see, 2.78, and I want you to underline the number that's underlined. Okay? So there's that ghost. I'm going to give you another ghost. Same exact thing. Can you tell me what place value is underlined? Well, here's would be my ones. The decimal is and, tenths, hundredths, thousandths, and then 10,000ths. So underlined is thousandths. So I'm going to go find the thousandths, and I'm going to write the number that I see. 0.0356. And I'm going to underline the correct one so that Miss Webster knows you understand. Okay? And I have several that I can underline, right? So I'm not writing the numbers. I'm writing just the whole number underneath the column that is underlined. So I'm not writing the numbers in each of these squares. I am writing this whole number is in that square because it was underlined in the hundredths. Next one, I'm going to show you another ghost. I'm going to do a couple with you, and then I'm going to expect you to do these on your own, so pay close attention. I have, let me move this up so you have some room. I have, oh, what place value is this? Well, here's ones, tens, hundreds, thousands. So 1,000. And what place value is that 6 in? Tenths, hundredths, thousands. So I have to write it in the tenths place, showing me you know which place value is underlined. It is the tenths. So over here under tenths, I'm going to write the number 1,006 thousandths, and the 6, the tenths, is underlined. Okay, so that's all you're doing. So you're going to fill out a bunch of these, but again, you are writing the number underneath the one that is underlined. I'm looking for, can you identify the correct place value? So now I'm going to just show you ghost, and you are going to put them where they go correctly. Okay, so I've done 3 for you. I'm going to just show you ghost. You're going to put them in the correct spot. All right, so here we go. You may need to pause as I show you ghost. All right, because I'm going to go a little bit fast, but as you see the ghost, then you can pause the video to work with it. So I'm not going to wait on you. Okay, so pause the video if you need to. Again, you're pausing the video so you have time to write. Pause the video so you have time to write, because I'm going to go kind of fast. Remember, you're pausing the video so that you have time to write. I want you to end this one with the line right here. Okay, I want this one to be underlined. Don't let it fool you. I don't know why my line went too far. Okay, so I want this one underlined, the 2. Last one. Okay, all right. So you have filled out your paper and put all your ghosts where they belong. Make sure your name is on it, and you're going to turn that into the bucket. Okay, so I am now going to talk to you about multiplying in each direction, those numbers. Now that we understand the place value and how the numbers move, let's take $5 for a second. $5. Think of money. And I'm telling you that I am going to multiply your $5 by 10. Well, if I come over here and do the math, we know that 5 times 10, I'm going to put my 10 on top just because it's easier, is 50, isn't it? Okay, and if I had a decimal there for $5, my decimal would go right. So if I have, or even if I did like this, $5 times 10, right? I'll go 0, 0, 0, move over, 0, 0, 5, 0, 0, 0, 5. My decimal is 1, 2, 1, 2. So it's still $50. Either way that you multiply it. Okay. So what's happening when I multiply this by 10 times 10? This 5 is going to move over this direction 1 spot. And zeros are going to fill in here. So now I have $50. Well, if I take $50 and I multiplied that by 10, if I times this by 10 again, right? $50. And I times by 10 again. 0, 0, 0, 0, move over. 0, 0, 0, 5. 0, 0, 0, 0, 5. My decimal is 1, 2, 1, 2. Well, that gives me 500. Well, that means this 5 is moving over 1, and then the rest are going to be zeros here. So multiplying by 10, so I times by 10 here, I times by 10 here. What happened is it just pushes that 5 over. Same theory. Let's take $5 again, and this time I want to multiply it not by 10, by 1/10. Okay, 1/10. So if I take my same $5, and this time I know that a tenth is 0.10, 10 cents. And I'm just putting that 0 there to make it easier, 0.1, okay? If I multiply by this, right, this is less than a whole. That's 0, 0, 0, move over. 1 times 0, 0, 0, and then 5. 0, 0, 0, 5. My decimal is 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Ah, that is 0.50 or 50 cents. It is this multiplying by a decimal or a fraction, because we know that 1/10, where can I write that? 1/10 is equal to 0.1 or 0.10, right? A tenth. These are the same. So when I'm multiplying by this 0.10, I'm really multiplying by a fraction. Okay, I'm multiplying by 1/10. So that number got smaller, right? It's kind of like dividing by 10. $5 divided by 10. If I had $5 and I split it with my 10 friends, everybody got 50 cents. Well, if I do that again, so really I multiplied here, I times it by 1/10, which is just like dividing by 10 because the fraction line means divide. If I take that 50 cents and I do that again, I multiply it by 1/10. Well, now I have 50 cents, and I'm multiplying it by a tenth. 1/10 as a decimal is 0.10. Well, 0, 0, move over. 0 and 5. 0, 0, 5. My decimal is 1, 2, 3, 4. Oh, you can't see that. So 1, 2, 3, 4. What do I have to fill in when there's nothing? A 0. So it's going to be 0.05. So if I take 50 cents and divide it between my 10 friends, we all now have 5 cents. Okay? So again, what's happening when I'm going when I am multiplying by that fraction or that decimal number less than 1 whole, my number is getting smaller. Okay? So when I'm multiplying by a fraction, it's getting smaller. When I'm multiplying by a power of 10 or the 10, 100, 1,000, it's going to get bigger. The money's going to get bigger. So with that, what I want to do is, so we understand what we're doing here, but I'm going to show you a shortcut, okay? So the shortcut, I'm going to take these numbers and we're going to multiply